Hello guys, what's up? So today I'm going to be talking about the potential Leafs new signee. Everything seems to point to him signing, but you never really know. I mean, it's just there's not been any press release from the Leafs themselves, so you can't be 100% sure. But the player that they potentially signed is Lindholm. He's 26 at the start of next season. He'll be 27. He's just coming off literally the best year of his entire career in the SHL. His career stats in the SHL so far are 196 games played with 119 total points, so 0.61 point per game. And last year he got 49 games. He played 49 games, got 18 goals, 29 assists for 47 points. He also played on the Olympic team, and he's decently aged too. I mean, like I said, 26, going to be 27 by the beginning of next year. I think that this is a solid acquisition. It's probably just for a year or two, so it's not like we're really committing to this guy or anything. And I can almost guarantee we're not paying him much money. Probably not much more than $1 million, if that. I'd be surprised if it's anything over $1 million. If it's about 1.5, I wouldn't be that shocked. But, somewhere in a reasonable, about $1 million range, I could see. And I wouldn't be too displeased by that. But yeah, he's 5'11", 187 pounds. He's been playing in Sweden his entire career. He wasn't drafted. He hasn't played anywhere else other than Sweden. I mean, he came up in this Skellefteå system. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, but he came up from the Junior 18 elites, came up through the Allsvenskan, and has played in the SHL since 2014-2015. And that season he made his debut, or not his debut, he played one game before that. But he played 54 games that season, put up 26 points in 2015-16, 52 games played with 15 points, 2016-17, 38 games played, 31 points, and this past year, 47 points in 49 games, like I said. He's a pretty solid player. There isn't a whole lot known about him. It came out a couple days ago that the Canucks were interested in him, and I think that's the first a lot of people had probably heard of him. He wasn't really turning heads. It wasn't like Vadim Shipachyov sort of situation where he's been highly touted for years, basically. Or not years, but, his name really came into spotlight, and then there was all this build-up for by a year or two about, like, is this guy going to come over? Is he going to come over? Is he going to come over? And I think there's a lot less riding on this as well. I think usually the Liga and SHL players tend to force a little bit less money versus the KHL because the KHL is the NHL's most natural competitor. It's the second biggest league in the world, quote unquote. It's arguable, but I'd say so. At least in terms of payment, for sure. I mean, you're making considerable amounts of money if you're one of the all-stars in that league, and to come over to the NHL, you're looking at making upwards of $4 million or more. I think Dadonov was making about 4. I think Radulov was making 6, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken. I think Shipachyov was making 4.5, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a considerable amount of money. And I mean, even Nikita Zaitsev, after a year of being over here, got 7-year deal, 4.5, which, anyways. So players are making considerable amount of money coming from the KHL versus the SHL and stuff like that. Very recently, last year, from the KHL we got Miro Aaltonen, but he had played in Liga for I think a couple of years before. Last year we got Calle Rosen, Andreas Borgman, and there's been a few before. So this is overall looks to be a pretty good signing. He looks to have solid offensive skill, at least if you hold any stock in point production in the SHL, which I think most people do, and I do. So I think having him and then possibly injecting him into the fourth line will be a nice welcome, a nice welcomed addition, I guess, versus someone like a Dominic Moore or whatever, who's a little bit over the hill. Thomas Plekanec didn't even really produce in the fourth line, so it is what it is. Some people were mentioning a Bozak replacement, which, I mean, we'll see when he gets to training camp, obviously. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, it looked like we signed Dominic Moore, and then it looked like Miro Aaltonen had won the job by the end of the training camp. So, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's all up to Mike Babcock and how he wants to run his lines and who develops chemistry and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know really how I feel about this. Like, I'm pretty optimistic if he is a fourth liner, but the possibility of him playing on the third line, it's obviously very real. And I don't know how much I like that, just because we will be losing this summer, well, more than likely losing JVR, Bozak, and guys like that. So replacing this 26-year-old guy, 27, he's going to be 27, replacing Bozak with him, although he's younger, he's unproven. So I'm not excited about that, but if he plays fourth line, then I'm more than happy. And I mean, at the end of the day, all this is a depth move. I mean, it's going to be a low amount of money, like I said, so it's not going to be a huge deal if we have to send him down to the AHL, and even if he leaves, whatever, it's not going to be a big loss. We do have Miro Aaltonen, like I mentioned, too. And we'll just see kind of how everything shakes up, but this is definitely a solid acquisition. I'm happy to just add the depth. Because, I mean, that was something that was exposed, especially throughout the season at the center position. I don't know what this says about William Nylander's chance of playing centerman. I think if we don't sign another centerman, I think it's pretty, I think the writing would be pretty much on the wall at that point that William Nylander is going to be at least tried at 3C, unless they want to run in with Lindholm and Aaltonen as your third four. Which I don't know if I'm really optimistic about that, but I mean, Aaltonen's young enough that he can develop a little bit, and same with Lindholm. He's pretty much, you're getting what you're getting. Everything I've read too, just looking at his Elite Prospects page, that has like quotes. His scout had this his agent had this to say about him. He said, "He is a center who could lead a fourth line in the NHL, but also contribute on special teams. Power can be used in any situation." Rickard Gronberg from Sweden Hockey C, I don't know what that is, Sweden HC. Very versatile forward who contributes at both ends. Very smart player. And then Stefan Bengtsen said, has a professional attitude, very all-around with good hockey sense. So it seems that he's a pretty good all-around player, pretty good centerman, or a pretty good two-way center. So I think it'll be a solid bottom six acquisition. I'm hoping the fourth line, but if he ends up moving in the 3C, I hope that, I assume, knowing Babcock, the one thing he's really, really good at is not just handing people things. I mean, even Matthews, he's like, yeah, we're starting him off in the third line center. I mean, the number one overall pick, seen as probably one of the better first overall picks in the last few years. In the last probably half decade. I mean, he was being thrown on the third line on a team that literally just finished in last place. So I think that shows you a little bit about Mike Babcock. He's not going to hand people anything. So I think if he ends up moving to 3C, he'll probably earn it. So anyways, I think it's a pretty good move. It's pretty much my final thoughts. There's not a whole lot to be said about it. I mean, we don't have any contract details or anything. This is pretty fresh news, and I just kind of wanted to let you guys know. Let me know if you guys like this sort of video, if you want to see more of it. And, yeah, just remember to click like, subscribe, and as always, have an awesome day.